Hello, everyone. I am Matthew Thomas. You are watching and listening to Super Cool Radio. Thank you so much for tuning in. I got some great guests joining me at this time. They're a killer blues rock power trio from the South Bend area. They got a cool EP coming out on September 1st. Please welcome The Dying Wake.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having us, Matt.
Appreciate it, Matthew.
It's nice to have you guys on. Making up The Dying Wake, joining me at this time, we have Alan on lead guitar and lead vocals. We got Wayne on drums and vocals. Making your second appearance here in Super Cool Radio.
Super Cool Radio, yeah. I was with the guys from Bostel
about a year ago.
Later, yeah. It's been about a year ago now, hasn't it?
Yeah, about a year ago, as I said, yes. All right, so I know we got quite a bit to discuss. As I said, you got the new EP. You got a music video. We got a lot of cool things you guys have been working on. Before we jump into all that, a fun yet challenging question to kick off this interview. If you could have dinner with any two musicians, living or deceased, who would they be?
We get to each pick two? Okay.
Oh, well. Robert Johnson, no doubts about it. I'd absolutely want to, have a moment with him. And Ozzy Osbourne.
I would say Freddie Mercury and Bob Seger.
I like how both your picks, for both of you guys, was very, very dynamic, very wide range with both of those picks. I like them all. 4 fabulous picks, though, but very different for each one. But I like it. I think we're gonna have a great interview. I think. All right, so focusing on The Dying Wake, I heard there's a good story about how you guys came together as a band, or at least how both of you met. So how'd you guys meet and start a band?
Let's do this in 2 parts. I'll start, and then I'll just segue it over to you, because then you can tell the really interesting stuff. One of the guys that actually was a founding member of The Dying Wake, he had contacted me a few times because I used to do bookings for a local club, and that's now defunct. And he said, "Hey, I got this band called Dying Wake. We should, we'd love to play there, blah, blah, blah." And a few weeks went by, and I actually, I called him up and I said, "Hey, I'd really like to have you guys out. We just, bring you guys out, and this is the way it's going to go." And the first show that The Dying Wake, that incarnation, long before I was ever a part of it, that I ever saw, they had a very interesting event occur with their lead singer and guitar player. And this is my first foray into the world of The Dying Wake. So I'm at the club, and I'm at the board, and I've got the drums set up, and I've got the guitars mic'd, and everything's ready to rock and roll.
I know what story you're telling.
And we're missing somebody. Could you tell us where he was at?
Jail. I was incarcerated at the Elkhart County Detention Center for a charge that, I don't need to speak about too much. Whether it was founded or unfounded, I believe I was innocent of it. But whatever the case may be, it happened at that point in time, and my drummer at the time, I'm going to shout him out, Kylan, and my bass player at the time, I'm going to shout him out, Jeremy. They rushed to the jail to bond me out, and I literally had no shoes at the time. Again, the arrest was a little bit funny, as it occurred. And so I basically got booked out and was, walked out of that jail. And my drummer had an extra pair of big clodhopper shoes and an extra shirt. And we went literally from the detention center to the bar and walking in with ill-fitting shoes. They were nice enough to set up all the equipment, and I literally went from the Elkhart County Detention Center to the show, and that's how Wayne was introduced to us. And so we played a nice, good set, didn't we?
Yeah, no, you guys rocked it. So that was my introduction to The Dying Wake, and then I got to be really good friends with the guys, and I produced their EP. And then a few things happened, some personnel shakeups in this, and one day out of the blue, I contacted, Alan said Jeremy. I contacted Jeremy, and I said, I was looking through some hard drives, and I noticed that you guys have a really good catalog. that I would really hate to just disappear into nothingness. And they said, yeah, if we could find a drummer that would, play on the performances, I'll be your drummer.
I'm like, what?
Why do you want to be?
Why would you want to be our drummer? I mean, really?
So Alan always says, not to embarrass him, but Alan always says, for the first couple of months working with him, they were like, Alan would be like, I just don't understand why you want to work with us. It's like, dude, I could work with anybody. If I work with you, it's not lip service. I must really be interested in being here. And good songs, good stuff. And I hopped on board to be the drummer, and that's the Dying Wake history.
In a nutshell.
That's one way to introduce yourself with that story. That was really, but that was awesome. And I'm glad you were able to make the gig and still play.
I should tell you about the time that I cut my finger off and still made that show that night. That was another band, another time, but the show always must go on. Yeah, the tip of my finger got cut off. The next day I had a show. I still played.
I mean, you don't need all your fingers anyway. I mean, they're really.
No, with my right hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Spare a few.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so great way to start off this interview, by the way. Now, I've heard so for you guys, kind of different kind of approaches to writing music. Is that true? Wayne, you go more on the technology side. Alan, you prefer more like the organic kind of more, that style. So, how do you guys find a balance with writing and recording music?
I mean, usually the germ of the song kind of starts with me a bit. I mean, not every time, but most of the time. I mean, it's either me sitting at home, strumming on my acoustic, coming up with ideas, and I'll run into roadblocks, get frustrated, or even sometimes think that a song isn't worth it. But you know what? Working with Wayne this long, I always go to him and at least try it. Because I find that this just happened the other day. I mean, a song that I almost thought about scrapping, I was like, but no, I'm going to take it to Wayne, and we're going to go in the studio, we'll record the germ of what I've got, and then we'll put our heads together, he'll do some technical thought about it, or sometimes he just challenges me. That's what happened the last time. He was like, you know what, I'm going to go get a cup of coffee, you write, you write a chorus, do it now. I mean, don't think about it, just do it. And I'll do it, and I was like, well, that's not right. That's not right. He's getting his coffee, and stuff like that. And he'll kind of inspire me to do that, and then he'll come back and he'll give me, thoughts and comments on it. I was like, well, that works, but maybe this could be better. I mean, and it's really been a wonderful, wonderful collaborative together when songs that I don't even think are going to work, somehow he'll pull it out.
And where the technology part of it comes in is that I think it's both a horrifying and exciting time to be in music. And I talked about this last year when we talked about all the AI stuff and whatever. That's a conversation for a different day. But using technology to sort of, like Alan said, remove roadblocks and things. And what it does, I think, more than anything, when I say I use technology a lot, I think what I do is I use it to sort of map out what the development of a song will look like. And Alan's heard me say this a million times. I'm just going to pull this up. I don't care if it's in key perfectly or not, but I'm going to pull this up and paste it in, and we're going to listen to it a couple times. And if we like it, we'll develop it, because it helps keep the work stream, moving forward. You could try a bunch of different approaches at something and not waste a bunch of time. It doesn't matter if it's perfect or not. If you like it and you feel like it's worth developing, then you can perfect it. So you can perfect it through the take or perfect it through the part or whatever. But no, that's the thing. And so talking about the balance of it, to answer your question, Matt, I think we have, first of all, I think we have definitely found a really good balance of how that works out. One of the things that I keep talking about Jeremy, even though he's not here, invariably the first writing session that we all three sat together on and wrote a song, and when we came out of it, we had a song. The way he described my process is cruelly efficient.
Yes.
He goes, hey, it's taking me forever to write songs before. He goes, we come in here, 45 minutes later, song's done.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like I said, taking advantage of technology for what it can do. Not to use it as a crutch, not to use it as a way to supplement talent, because That's the organic part of it. If you don't have the talent, then it's just not going to be there.
No, and let me interject right there, is that like there's songs that I've came in, and I can recall one recently where I had a vocal idea that just wasn't working. And maybe he could have done something with technology, but he didn't. The other part about Wayne is not only is he really, really good with the technology that he has, he's a good producer. And, which is invaluable. Someone that just can tell you what's good and bad. And help you. I mean, besides him being like a band member, being that person that can kind of help you, guide and direct you to like, hey, try it like this, do it like this. Is this really what you want? I mean, I'm in the vocal booth and I'm trying to flesh out my ideas, and he's saying, well, listen to it now. Do you really feel like that's good? Or maybe try it like this. Or, that's that whole other technology side apart. Just him being a solid producer, being able to accomplish that has made me a better musician just in whole.
And it's been interesting because Alan, coming from that sort of thought of like pure organics, it brings me back to the point that I was when I first got into audio production. Before I ever considered myself a producer, I was a button pusher, And going back to that and thinking like, well, I don't know crap from Shinola, but I know how I want it to sound. I just don't know how to get it there. And knowing now, like, Alan, one of the great things about working with Alan is he never looks at me like I'm crazy. He always just goes, all right, let's just throw spaghetti at the wall. We'll see what sticks, And that's been part of the balancing part of it.
There's definitely a lot of balance with stuff, and Wayne, I've heard you produce for other bands. Obviously it's Bostel, that I've interviewed before, but you always have a good eye for good ear, not eye, but ear for music, what works, what doesn't work, and also you're able to help build the song out more. But it's cool to hear the balance between you guys, like how you're gonna build the music out and what you guys use to produce and write and record and do all the stuff you have to do to make music. So that does lead me. I've heard you guys have a new EP, Take the Ride. So, like, what can people expect musically and lyrically from Take the Ride?
Take the Ride was one of those, like, very close transition songs from kind of the old guard that where the other previous members were in to where we transitioned over here. So I just want to make sure that I was clear. Is that this is going to be, music that, we worked live with my previous members of the band. Still all songs mostly written by me, but with contributions from the previous members of it. Lyrically...
Road tested.
Sorry?
Road tested.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. A lot of them very much road tested. Sometime playing 2-3 nights a week before they ever went into the studio. But you're going to hear, like, in Take the Ride, a little bit of that's probably one of my... And I hate to use the word jazzy kind of thing because I'm not a jazz player. But I mean, it's just it's got a different kind of beat to it than you're going to hear from other songs. You're going to hear. I mean, I sing a lot about compassion, passion, love, heartache. Sometimes distraught. I talk about my own experiences lyrically, veiled a little bit. As far as within the song. But I mean, what it is just generally always going to be me from the heart singing about what it is that I feel. I had a lot of years in my younger years playing cover music that, I ended up straying away from to decide to do something that I wanted to make the music that I made feel like who I am and what it is that I feel. So that's what you're going to hear. Some of it's going to be gritty. Some of it's going to be pretty. Some of it's going to be nice. Some of it's going to be not so nice. So, I mean, I think it takes...
There's even a clever narrative on there.
Well, I do my best. I'm a bit of a wordsmith at times. But anyways, so, I mean, this one is like earlier stuff. I mean, we're working on like newer stuff. It's going to show a lot more composition between me and him, and what it is that we do is going to have probably a bit of a different sound to it. But this stuff, I mean... To me, I mean, it's a lot of my heart. It's a lot of where I started writing music. A lot more time spent into it, a lot of it from, myself. And again, road tested is a big thing about it. Is that it spent a lot of time on the road developing, and Wayne did a very good job at producing it all.
I think the best way that I can describe it is just very eclectic. I know everybody always says that, but the truth, it is really truly is the thing. Just from Take the Ride, Alan hit the nail right on the head. It is very, it's kind of got a sort of jazz flavor to it. I mean, you've heard it. That's the video that's out, and first single off there. And so like I said, it's kind of jazzy. And then you take another song like Hangin', and it's just basically that's basically good psychedelic rock is what it really truly is. And and then something like Take Me Home is just a really soft, sweet ballad that is not at all cliche. It's very sort of, I don't know, it's very Spartan, and all you really have is at the core it could be an acoustic guitar and a vocal and it would work. So it's just very much down to the story behind it and that beautiful guitar melody that's there. So you just see a lot of like really, like I said, you're moving through 6 songs, and not only is it musically, stylistically eclectic, the subject matter is very like a crazy person wrote it, because it's you move through self-reflection and, like I said, narratives about butchers and things like that. So it's a very clever sort of stack of songs.
We try to put a couple clever things in there.
Yeah.
Is that Esther in there?
Yeah.
Okay, so so then there's some fun stuff too.
Absolutely.
It sounds like it's going to be very diverse,
Sure.
with like the music and even the lyrics as well, the themes, in the songs. I do got a few questions. I'm gonna try to weave in to what we're talking about. But first off, what is the ride? Can you define what the ride is?
You want to you want me to tell you about the origins of the song? It's a song about. I'll just go ahead and do it. It's a song about my ex, and what I tried to do is weave in, the parts where I found, her behaviors and actions to be a little crazy in a relationship. That I'm sure, some relationships have had their ups and downs and craziness, and I tried to make it an allegory against driving. So I mean, driving down the highway, never taking my way, got to believe nothing is free. I mean, if you hear it, I mean, what's peppered in all the time is just a small narrative of, maybe small relationship decisions she's made against the backdrop of driving, and like combine that is allegory the right word? I keep wanting it to be the right word.
Is.
Okay, as an allegory to her behavior to driving. So I mean that's basically, and that's it. And so the ride was the relationship. I mean, I was taking the ride. I mean, you look at the video. We tried to do something different with the video as far as making like a more lighthearted, kind of fun video, but. The song in and of itself was basically, a small description of a very hard time that I had in a relationship with, and again, trying to be very correct here. I'm sure I made wrong decisions. She made wrong decisions. But, I mean, I get to be the one that writes the song. So, I get to
I have the microphone, so you will listen to every word.
Yeah, so I wrote it from my perspective, and I made it the allegory of driving. So if you listen to it and like really, take the words for what they are, you'll find the peppering of like that part as an allegory to driving. That's the best I can do.
No, it's very, very good. I was just curious, with what it was. I did really enjoy the video because you guys interjected some humor and some acting as well. So I'm going to talk about the music video. I do have a few other questions about the EP. We'll come back to that real quick. So how was it developing the idea and filming the music video? And also, like, where'd you guys film? Like, whose houses did you use for that?
So
yeah, this is. I'm going to let Wayne take this whole thing. He was the brainchild.
We talked it out, and we had a few different ideas, and honestly, the way that Alan described the lyrics and listening to them, you could take this a different colored way real quick, and this could go a way that maybe we didn't want it to be. So it was sort of like, well, what can we do that would be just sort of way out in left field? And we all have a very similar sense of humor, sort of like dark, dry sense of humor.
Little Python.
Little Monty Python flavor here and there. So little Kaufman-esque at times too. But we have a very similar sense of humor. And with that in mind, we'd said like, let's do something that we think would be funny, maybe even unrelated, and just how do we start to weave the thought of the song into it. So we had come up with,
well, take the ride being like kind of a belief. Are you wanting to take the ride?
Yeah, exactly. So we had come up with the idea that we would be like, we should do like Jehovah's Witnesses or Mormons or whatever, and we would go door to door and knock on the door, and we would hand out pamphlets, and what they could say? They could say, "Diane Wake, take the ride" on them, and that would be what we would pass out. And so we built and built and built on that, and then before you know it, like here we are standing in Jeremy's neighborhood in ties on bicycles like real full-fledged Mormons, and passing out pamphlets. But the funny thing is, when we got ready to actually film it, we looked at like what would we look at for like cast and setting in that. So we literally ended up in everybody's neighborhood, literally everybody's there. Like the house that's Alan's old house.
That was my wife that answered the door.
That's the crazy religious lady at the beginning. Sorry, Priscilla. I love you.
My mom got chased down the road.
His mom got chased down the road. Yeah. My daughter's got a
Ellie was
slam the
there.
door scene in there. Jeremy's
Neighbors.
My neighbors. One of my neighbors. He did a splendid job. If you look, he's the guy with the big beard. One of the nicest guys in our neighborhood, and like he's like, "Get out of here!" Slam the door. It was so great. Like everybody just really helped to support, that video, and it was so funny. Like looking back at it, the production of it was we need to have a scene where we're just tapping on a lot of doors. We got to make sure like. Maybe if we could go door to door in the neighborhood and let everybody tap, we'll hold a light up and tap on the door. And it's like, no, you know what? I got a better idea. Let's just go to Lowe's. So we're in the door display at Lowe's and everybody's looking at us like we're nuts. And we're like, and this is how it goes. Action, cut, action, cut. Yeah. So we did 50 different doors. Yeah. So when you see the scenes in there, that's where they.
Yeah, that's at Lowe's. No permit, no nothing, no permission.
Nothing. We just snuck in there real quick and did it.
You got to be crafty with what you have. We have Lowe's.
Right.
Don't sue us.
Well, it came out awesome. You interjected a lot of humor with the music as well. Also with the performance side as well, because you kind of split between acting and a performance in there as well. I think it came out
really tried to keep the sort of was it Ed Sullivan? Is it Ed Sullivan show that Black Sabbath was on with the screen and Jefferson Airplane and that. We wanted to keep that sort of vintage look, and that's why it looks the way that it does. The performance part,
Performance footage.
with the blue background on it.
The really bad green screen like they had in the late '60s, and that we were really going for that look,
On purpose.
On purpose, intentionally. Yeah.
So I'm glad you made that definite. I mean, I thought it matched it very well, like the vibe, because I know it's supposed to be a little I don't know if I want to use cheesy, but now just the
Kish.
That's a better way of describing it. But you're kind of leaning into that with the music video.
Absolutely.
Good afternoon. My name is Alan Thornton. Can I show you how to take the ride?
Oh, hell no. No, I don't believe in none of that.
going back to the EP real quick, and then we got to talk about some upcoming shows. Then we got to wrap this up because this is, because I have to edit all this too. So for you guys, do you have a favorite song off the EP Take the Ride?
Easy, Take Me Home.
That was quick.
Yeah, no doubts. I mean, and it's yeah, that one means a lot to me. I mean, and whether for what I wrote, I don't even think about what I wrote it for. It's one of those songs that, I mean, it's been around for a long time. It's just coming out on EP, but it's one that I've played for years and years and years. It feels like one of those songs that doesn't even really much belong to me anymore. I do have a lot of people that really love that song that, if we play a show, that's the one that they always say, please play that song, that it's kind of gone out of my domain. You know what I'm saying? That it doesn't really belong to me anymore. And I can't think of another one of my songs that I can describe that doesn't really belong to me anymore. And besides the fact that, I mean, I love it. I think it's well written. I mean, the lyrics are good. One of my favorite solos that I've played. But, I mean, for that one, I mean, it's not famous by no means. I'm sure none of you have heard of it. So I'm not trying to put it up on that big of a pedestal. But it's just one that, as I've played out, that is a notable one, a recognizable one, and that one of the very few ones that people have actually said, please play this tonight.
As much as I love that song, you know what I'm going to say. As much as I love that song and as beautiful as that song is, and there's a bunch of great songs on the EP. It was the reason why I even wanted to make this be a thing, but Take the Ride.
Oh, no,
is my favorite.
Okay, no, that's fine. I had a couple of guesses.
When I agreed to produce the EP originally, I said, I will only produce this EP if you have The Butcher Man and one other song.
Yeah, that's what I remember is that was like the condition of you, like even like not even being in the band, but like, it's like, hey, I'll record you guys, for this and one more song, but you got to do The Butcher Man. Which I don't know if you can find the link to that. There's live ones, who knows? But I mean, it'll be out on the EP. So I was guessing either that one or the other one, and you know what the other one is.
You don't mean Esther?
Yeah.
Okay. You can also check out Esther.
Yeah, that one.
A lot of Esther talking in this. So who is Esther, and what can you tell us about Esther?
Well, first let me say that, you know what? Every beautiful woman out there named Esther, this has nothing to do with you.
Unless you want to help that with your fantasies.
Yes.
In which case we won't judge you, and we'll appreciate that.
This is it's a very catchy song, in my opinion. It's my second most requested song, to be quite honest. One that I haven't quite figured out if I've regretted writing it. It has, maybe a little bit of level inappropriateness, but yeah, it's definitely a song about intimacy with someone's grandmother. And I thought, I tried to think of what would be a grandmother name, like Phyllis or, and I came up with Esther. And so, I'm not even sure what have we figured out? Is it called the Grandma Song? Is it called a Song for Esther?
The first time that Jeremy ever sent it to me, it was called the Grandma Song.
The Grandma Song, yeah. You'll have to just listen for yourself, and please don't judge me too harshly. I'll give you the backstory. I was on a very, very heavy hangover. I had gotten whiskey drunk the night before, and was going to Cedar Point with my sister and a buddy of mine. And I was in the back seat, just about out of my mind, with this hangover. I just saw this perfectly nice family, and they were walking, you had mom, dad, sister, brother, and you had grandmother. And just in my whacked out mind, I was like, boy, what is the most inappropriate thing I could say right now? Listen to the song.
The first line of the song would sum that all up.
All right, that took a turn. I was not expecting that. When you sent over the talking points, you should have told me about that.
You can always edit it out.
Nah, it's all right. It's out there now. How am I supposed to transition out of this? I know. I
starting to become a pattern when you have an interview with me.
Yes. Was it you last time where
it was.
I couldn't transition out of something because of See, like this whole interview was going pretty smooth. Like I was transitioning from one thing to the next thing.
But don't explain why this night might be wrong.
I heard you guys got some great shows coming up for the fall. What can people expect from from these shows from you guys? You know, set lists, songs, performances, you know, fireworks, anything like that.
I'll let Wayne take this.
Yeah, I just, good solid performances of the songs, and just trying to keep a good balanced, set list. They'll get to hear, the EP in its entirety. Some of the songs that we're working on in the studio, that'll be the follow-up full-length record to Take the Ride, which we anticipate we'll still have out yet later this year. I do realize we're coming on the end of the year, so what does that mean? It's going to be a short turnaround, right? But it'll be, that, just good performances. Alan is really great with the crowd and just super high energy, a lot of charisma there. So just good, solid, lacking in the pyrotechnics department. But if you want to come see grit and raw and energy and sweat on the stage in its purest form, that's what you get with us.
And we're not one of those bands.
With a splash of whiskey.
Yeah, absolutely. What you hear on the album is not exactly what you might hear on the stage. I mean,
oh yeah. A lot of great live interpretations for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely like to, explore the space.
Explore the space.
Didn't you say that in the last interview? I think you did.
We brought up the cowbell thing. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
I didn't bring it up this time. He did.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Well, I'm definitely looking forward. Hopefully, I get to catch you guys at some shows. If anyone out there is interested in the show, where's the best place to find the details about the shows?
Catch us on Facebook, Instagram. We shoot out stuff off TikTok. But yeah, all the social media. And we're putting together a .com.
Just a few more things, and we closing this out. I've heard you guys are very much into bourbon and whiskey. Question for you guys, is there like a bourbon or whiskey that the other person likes that you just can't stand? Or just don't understand why they like it?
We're talking about the upper shelf stuff here.
I think so, yeah.
I mean, because I can choke down some Canadian Mist.
Yeah, I cannot.
I can.
I cannot.
But I mean, I don't think that's what he's talking about. I would like to think on those savory moments that we have. You see, now we do have a ritual, after every recording session, or we share one shot. I mean, we don't go to excess. And I will say that this is Wayne's collection here. I've added to it, whenever I travel, I'll get something to add to it. But I mean, it's Wayne's collection. It's always a surprise. I don't know what it is, but I can't think of a time that I've ever, that you poured me a shot and I was like, well, what's that? I mean, there's been varying levels of now that is fruity. Now that is tasteful. Now that's got a sensual bit to it, and I'll try and guess, and I'll never guess the brand, but I'll try and guess. I was like, now is that Kentucky? And he's like, you're on it. And I'll be like, is that Canadian? And he's like, you're way off the mark. So, I mean, that's kind of where we go with that. But I don't think that Wayne would put a whiskey or a bourbon in his collection that I would regret drinking. And this has been years now.
Several years now.
Several years of this.
Yeah.
At least once a week, if not more sometimes. And so I'd have to say no. I'd only say that it's just the stuff I'll choke down that he'll turn his nose up.
No offense to anybody that's Canadian out there watching this podcast.
Well, it is Canadian Mist, though. It's $10 for a fifth.
You can't make whiskey. You can't. I'm sorry, you can't. I can't make whiskey either. Don't feel bad. I just like to drink it. But no, I don't.
You just insulted my second highest audience, by the way.
Keep making whiskey though. Just keep trying. One day you'll get there. Still Jack Daniels' recipe.
I thoroughly enjoy Crown.
Right. I do not.
Well, there we go. There's
okay.
There we go. We finally
Enough.
found one. No, I have a pretty extensive collection. The only thing I'm missing, in case anybody ever wants to come and donate to the cause, I do not have a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle 23-year aged. Feel free to drop that off. I'll give you my address. You just let me know.
There you go. Hit up this guy. If anyone has it or knows where to get it, hit him up. But for you guys, what is your favorite bourbon and whiskey?
I'll stick with Gentleman Jack. It's a good sipping whiskey, and it's a good. I'm going to lose my mind on a Saturday night.
I would have to say, yeah, for a whiskey, I would say, and there's several out there, but whiskey is what got me into spirits. So I'll say the Single Barrel Select from Jack Daniel's is really, really good. But if I have to pick a bourbon, I'd probably just go with like, what am I drinking this week? And I'll probably just stick with Blanton's. Because it's just hard. It's like having a big giant family and you love all your kids. It's hard to just pick one because there's so many great ones. But I mean, there's a local independent who's doing huge big things. They're opening a new distillery in Valparaiso this fall. Journeyman Distillery, love them. They're doing some great things. And they're not in Kentucky at all. They're right up here in Three Oaks, Michigan. So yeah, just there's a lot of things, but I would have to say probably, I don't know, if I just pick one right now, I'd say Blanton's. Breckenridge in Colorado, they're also not in, obviously they're also not in Kentucky at all, and they're doing super great things, but pretty much anything that's on the bourbon trail is going to be phenomenal.
I did like how you have to specify when he said the location that's not Kentucky.
I like to point that out in case somebody missed what I said, if they go like, hey, he kind of mumbled, what did he say? Oh, I said it's not in Kentucky. That's all that matters.
All right, so as we're wrapping up this interview, just a few more things. So as you guys have been alluding to, you are working on a follow-up to Take the Ride. Is it going to be called Tuck the Ride?
No,
But can you give any details about it?
Yeah, it's going to be called, well, I don't want to get too focused on this because it's a rabbit hole in and of itself, but the title of the album, we'll go ahead and tell you, is going to be Simple Harmonic Equation. And no, this will be a complete departure from the sound of the EP. Not so night and day that it sounds like two different bands or anything, but it sounds like an extension of that sound. We took that sound and expanded on it. And so we were very formulary the way we did this. I don't mean in a way that like modern country music is. I'm saying like we're very formulary in the fact that we said we're going to look at this from the perspective of these parameters, and this is how we're going to create it. We're two guys. That's it. We're going to produce this like it's five guys. So we have to come up with five guys as parts, and that's how we're going to put this together. And so that was the approach we took at it. So we wrote that way. We just looked at everything that way, and we were very constrained about what parts we were playing, and then what parts these imaginary people would play. And I know it sounds ridiculous to say it that way, but we wanted to do something that was different, that was a departure. And Alan said, like, I want to try things I haven't tried before, and we did. And so far, I've been extremely pleased with the way it sounds. I mean, Alan's songwriting is spot on. The lyrics are great. And just the way that it's moved, the way so far that the collection of songs moved from song to song is just really solid. I'm really pleased with it. Everyone else might hate it and think it sucks, and I'm not going to tell you it's a hit, but I'll tell you that I am very proud of it.
Yeah, I mean, with the EP, I think that you might hear some of the sweat in there. These, like you said, were songs that we played on the road, on stage for years and years and years. And I mean, yeah, I think that comes through. And these new songs are songs that, they're not road tested like that, but we tested them a different way. I mean, and like what Wayne said, I mean, before I never wanted to do anything in the studio that I couldn't do on stage. And so, when we lost the other members of the band, and then it just, ended up just being me and Wayne, I was like, you know what, let me throw away that old guard thought, and say, well, let's try some things. I mean, my imagination isn't encapsulated on the stage anymore. My imagination, can, go with his imagination that can go with the studio and say, I mean, these tools are here. Well, let's, and not to say that we're, that they're not real. I mean, they're still from our imagination. They're still from our creativity. If it sounds right, if it resonates right, to me, it came to the point for where I was just a stage band and a stage writer and a stage person, that we had to transform over into the studio and say, okay, well, let's do it this way. And it took a minute for me to shed that off and say, okay, this is a different paradigm now, and almost kind of Wayne, teach me a little bit about this and open up my mind. And since we did that, to be quite honest, it doesn't feel a whole lot different, so to speak, as far as creativity goes. Where it comes from the well. I mean, the vibe might be a touch different, but at the same time, to me, it still feels like me. And actually, not only that, it feels like us.
Well, and if anything, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but if anything, it's been a lot more fun with the challenges. You know what I mean? Before it was kind of like, well, when it was written as a three-piece, the way a three-piece would do is just guitar, bass, drums, vocals. That's it. No overdubs, no nothing. Mm-hmm. So when his guitar part was done, he was done. When his lyrics were done, he was done. End of story. Now it's like, okay, well, you got your primary guitar done. Now what would the other guy play? And then what kind of piano or organ part are we? Because we're only going to do piano or organ. So which one are we going to do? And what part are we going to write for that? And what bass part are we going to come up with? And we've been really fortunate to have, one of the things Alan talked about was it's not like it's fake, right? It's not like we used a computer program to write these parts. These are human beings that did this. So if it's not me and Alan, we're fortunate enough to have a really solid network of studio support, guys that are here. And I've worked with a couple guys in the Nashville scene because technology supports it, right? You can in the email, phenomenal. There's some phenomenal guys down there, and they've been really instrumental in helping to Tish. See what I did there? They've been really instrumental in keeping this together and keeping this moving. When we hit a roadblock, it's like, well, I'll send it to this guy or whatever, and see where we go from there. And it's like I said, it's been an awesome amount of fun for me. I know Alan. We have these conversations a lot about how this is a different road, but we love being on this road.
Yeah, man, that is really great. I mean, you hear the EP, and you're going to hear the three-piece, the power unit that we built over years on stage, stuff like that. What you're going to hear on the next album, is us, really working on it, and that has grown me as a musician. Where, I have to lay down the guitar part, and then, I have to figure out that other guitar part, and then play an acoustic part, and build for the song now. I mean, before it was built for the performance, but now we're building for the song. And then go back and occasionally I'll write a keyboard part. Occasionally he'll find, a magical monster that can do great things. But it's all for the song now. It's not just for me being up on stage and rocking it out, which I still love to do, and I can't wait to do it, on a regular basis. But I mean, we're kind of building for the song.
It is really cool, and it's and you guys are kind of like not just doing it for the performance, you're doing it for the song itself, and kind of exploring different styles, and kind of building off what you guys have already, the foundation that you guys have already built. I just built way too many times that sentence, but what I mean is you guys are definitely exploring and also growing the horizons of the Dying Wake. So I'm looking forward to it. You guys got a lot of great music in the works. You got the new EP, Take the Ride. And you got the music video for the title track as well. Sounds like you guys have a lot of cool things in the works after the EP, plus some great shows. So I'm looking forward to seeing how much stuff you come up with. I'm definitely looking forward to checking out the new music. So as we're wrapping this up, how does early 2024 looking like for you guys? What's the plans?
Yeah, so we're actually working on putting together some support shows right now that haven't been actually released or billed yet, so we really can't tell you what they are, but we know where we're going and we know what we're doing. Just got to get some solidification there, but and then coming 2024, we're actually going to be on the back end of the new record, so we'll have basically 2 new records out back to back, and so it's just going to be full-fledged power forward, play. So we'll be, just doing all the things that come with campaigning a new record and going there. So 2024 will probably be one of the funnest years for us yet, because we'll just basically be playing a pile of shows.
Yeah, I mean, so many things happened that kind of led us to where we are right now. And we haven't played a lot of shows. I mean, between, COVID and whatever, and And, you know, we lost members of the band, and we kind of...
It's been a few years since we were able to get at this regularly, and now we're back to tying up the creative part of it to get the releases out and that. So now it's kind of like, well, everything is ready now. All systems go. So all we got to do is go.
Exactly. The bowstring has been pulled back for a while, and we are really looking forward to letting go.
Right on. I'm definitely looking forward to it. And as I said, I can't wait to see everything you guys have in the works. Plus, I look forward to seeing you guys live as well at some point. But I will leave some links to the Dying Wake in the description. As I said, the new music video, links for all of their social medias, all of that stuff in the description. Please check out and support them and see them live when you can. Wayne, Allen, I had a great time chatting with you. Thank you so much for stopping by Super Cool Radio.
Thanks so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Matt.
So for the Dying Wake, I'm your host as always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Super Cool Radio. And remember, stay frosty.